The Irish Data Protection Commission fined Meta a record €1.2 billion for violating the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, by transferring EU user data to the US. This is the largest ever EU privacy fine, exceeding the previous record penalty of €746 million imposed on Amazon. In Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has been ordered to suspend the transfer of data from the EU to the US within 5 months. It has also been given 6 months to stop the unlawful processing and storage of EU user data in the US. The decision affects only Facebook and not Meta's other platforms such as Instagram and WhatsApp. The fine and the orders are the result of a long-running investigation by the Irish Data Protection Commission, which regulates Meta across the EU. The investigation was triggered by a legal challenge brought by an Austrian privacy campaigner, Max Schrems, who claimed that Meta did not protect his privacy rights when it transferred his data to the US. The investigation found that Meta infringed GDPR by continuing to transfer EU user data to the US despite a ruling by the European Court of Justice that required strong protection of that information. The court ruled that the US authorities could spy on social media users based on revelations by whistleblower Edward Snowden. In Meta said it will appeal the ruling and seek a stay of the orders through the courts. It said it was disappointed to have been singled out when using the same legal mechanisms as thousands of other companies providing services in Europe. It said the decision was flawed, unjustified, and set a dangerous precedent for the countless other companies transferring data between the EU and US. Meta also said that this decision raised serious questions about a regulatory process that enabled the European Data Protection Board, EDPB, to overrule a lead regulator, disregarding the findings of its multi-year inquiry. The EDPB ordered that a fine be imposed on Meta after some of its fellow European data watchdogs disagreed with the original ruling by the Irish Data Protection Commission that did not recommend a fine. A new data transfer framework has been agreed between the US and EU, and it is expected to be in place later this year. It is hoped that this framework will provide stability and legal certainty for US tech companies operating in Europe. The Irish Data Protection Commission, Meta's chief regulator in the EU, issued a record fine of €1.2 billion to Meta. The reason was that Meta violated the EU's privacy rules by transferring user data from Europe to the US. This was against a previous court ruling that banned such data transfers. But the fine was not the only penalty for Meta. The regulator also ordered Meta to stop all transfers of personal data belonging to users in the EU and the European Economic Area to the US within 5 months, and to stop processing and storing such data in the US within 6 months. This means that Meta will have to find a way to keep the data of its European users within Europe, or face further legal action and possible disruption of its services. This is a huge challenge for Meta, which relies on data to run its advertising business and its social media platforms. Meta said it will appeal the decision and that it is flawed, unjustified, and dangerous. It also said that there will be no immediate disruption to Facebook in Europe. But some experts say that this ruling could have serious implications for Meta and other tech companies that transfer data across the Atlantic.